Oh, brother, I don't even know where to start. I mean, there's generally so much to cover in this chapter. But first of all, I guess I'm gonna start with the reaction from the JJK fan base. And it was so funny seeing a lot of different types of opinion, mainly, everyone fighting for their own characters. And I guess we had a lot of mixed up reviews and a lot of over the top reaction like this is the worst chapter ever, this plot sucks, Gojo is not coming back, blah 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 and all that. And I absolutely understand. But the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is that I think like people do not consume the story objectively. They basically want whatever is best for their own characters. So they try to understand the story in a subjective way. And in a way, I do understand that. Such opinions are, oh, Goji's not coming back, this shit sucks. Oh, Yuta doesn't do that, this shit sucks. Oh, Yuji doesn't do that, oh, this shit sucks. So basically, each to their own. As I said, I completely understand. But the main premise of the story and the essential part of the story is that Jujutsu Kaisen is about abandoning their own humanity for exchange of power, and this is basically conveyed with Sukuna the best, a selfish dude who basically abandoned all of humanity and gets rewarded by that by some insane powers, and he's the strongest curse of all time. And this is pretty much deflected upon Yuta as we see him pretty much abandoning the humanity and everybody he loves for exchange of power. And what I love about this, let's call it a panel or plot twist, I don't know, is that this is the first time we see a main character in Jujutsu Kaisen, let's say an objectively good guy doing morally questionable actions. And I love the dynamic between Yuji and Yuta in this case. We know that Yuji is a guy that will not abandon humanity. He's the selfless dude, and as I said, the system rewards the selfish people, and in this case, we see Yuji being a selfless guy, just, you know, getting everybody in trouble and everybody around him dying. So it's a nice plot device, let's call it like that. Also, another parallel and dynamic that I absolutely love here is between Yuta and Gojo. We can see here that Yuta is absolutely concerned about Gojo, and he's the only one in the room that has the guts to speak up about this morally questionable plan. And at that point, he was the only one who cared enough about Gojo to actually see him as a person and as a sensei, while others in the room did absolutely not care and basically disregarded Gojo as a person, and instead they just saw Gojo as a escape device, as a weapon tool that will help them survive against Sukuna. Perhaps the thing that made me most sad is the Shoku reaction to this. I mean, they were pretty much together ever since their teen years together with Geto, but granted, we don't know much about her, and at first glance, it does seem like an out of character to do, showing absolutely no remorse to a childhood friend. And from a tiny bit we know back in Hidden Adventure or Premature Death, Shoko does indeed like Gojo and Geto, but perhaps not in a very expressive way, more in a dismissive type of way. And even Gojo was questioning Shoku's lack of objection on this plan, and it's safe to assume at that point in the room, Gojo was just like, oh, these people do not give a shit about me. They just give a shit about the strongest sorcerer who will help them escape. And that's why we see him opening the doors to massacre the higher-ups in the Jujutsu. Good reflection at that point, he becomes a monster, just like Yuta will become a monster when he takes up Gojo's dead corpse and does a morally questionable thing. At that point, we have a throwback to Geto, and this is probably a reflection to Gojo himself about how Geto was the only person in the world that actually saw Gojo for himself and not just a weapon tool that will fix the Jujutsu society. So ultimately, Gojo's whole character arc boils down yet again to Geto Suguru. I guess this is Gege's way of saying to us, and my way of interpreting that Gojo ultimately chose South in the Afterlife sequence, meaning he decided against change. Now, most manga readers are so fixated on a character development, but this basically fits Gojo's character. and it fits the premise of Jujutsu Kaisen's story. He decided against change and wanted to stay the same, which is still a very human thing to do. And we all know change for the better or for the worst, but if someone decides not to change, that's fine too. Not changing is human after all. And I absolutely love that these two characters, Geto and Gojo, they basically have the same fate. They died on the same day. And now they're both used as a weapon tools. First with Kenjaku, and now Gojo is used as a weapon tool by Yuta. So you can say these two are just perfectly written by Gege. This is a type of conclusion that's utterly perfect for both of them, for both Gojo and Yuta. I guess you can say Gege concluded two birds with one stone. Yuta was pretty much dead, and he used this plan as a last resort against Sukuna, therefore becoming a monster and abandoning everybody he loves to save humanity, and hence he actually got praised by Sukuna himself, because I have not seen Sukuna this excited to find someone since basically Gojo himself way back at the start of his Jiku arc. It's also a good parallel as we see Yuta as the strongest sorcerer behind Gojo himself, which Gojo said it since the start of the series that Yuta was indeed the one who has the potential to surpass him, and a good thing to point out, this was heavily foreshadowed way back when Yuta fought Uro, and she said, you know what, Yuta, you're next. You'll be the one who will break the limit, you'll be the one who will abandon humanity, break the humanity, and just, become a monster. And narratively speaking, and now subjectively speaking for myself, I think Gojo was absolutely needed back in the story. Just, reviving him was not gonna cut it. That would have been a proper ass pull. The thing that needs to be answered, what will happen after these 5 minutes of Kenjaku's curse technique expires. Save option is that Yuta will die. I don't know, will Gojo perhaps reclaim his physical body just like Toji did, but I highly doubt that. Will Gojo's soul actually make an appearance just like Geto did back in Shibuya when Kenjaku was about to seal Gojo? I will absolutely love that. But these are the type of answers that we'll probably get in the near future, and at this point, we just gotta enjoy the round 2 of Sukuna against Gojo, and also the weekly Gojo content we're gonna be getting. Albeit it's not him, but still, we are not taking that pretty face for granted. So, Jujutsu fans, we have a summer in front of us just full of Gojo weekly panels. You want him back, you have him back, so now enjoy him.